bell ringer. So.
Now that the projector died and I can't function at the board very well. Here we go. So the big thing here was distributing that negative sign. Anytime you have a binomial on, distribute that. And we kind of took care of that in one step. Reduce, make sure you leave that numerator down there. Any issues? I'm going to have to move this because I have to recalibrate, so give me a minute. Bear with me. Okay, formula sheet. We're going to be working with sums and differences on your identities. So hopefully the formula sheet will pop up here. There you go. We're looking at functions of the sum of two angles, functions of the difference of two angles. We're going to be able to take care of all those today. And I show you how to recognize those come Regents exam time. So keep those handy. You want your formula sheet out there on the time. First thing, you need to calculate it. We're going to find the exact value of cosine 15 degrees. Key word there. Exact. So the first thing I'm going to do, as always, I'm going to take my handy calculator. I'm going to check my mode. Great. I'm going to find the cosine 15. And I don't think that's the exact value. Do you? No. Alright, so then what we have to do is we're going to have to use our formula sheet and figure out how we can use our special right triangles to get a sum that is 15. So I'm going to go to my formula sheet, and I'm dealing with cosine. So I'm either going to look at cosine of a plus b, that gives me 15, or cosine of a minus b, that gives me 15. Chances are, since I have to use my special right triangles because it says exact value, I'm looking at 30, 60, 45. So how can you work with 30, 60, and 45 to get 15 out of that? The number's 30, the number 60s, and the number 45. What do you do with those to get 15? Okay, what about it? Subtract? Yeah. So Danny said take 60 minus 45. What else could you do? Subtract 30 from 45. Either one will give you 15. I don't care which one you do. So we have to subtract. So this is what we're going to do. So we need to write that down on our paper, that formula. So let me grab my formula sheet to write that down. Alright, so what we're going to do is we're going to take the cosine of a minus b. And that formula, all I'm doing is writing the formula right now, is cosine a, cosine b, plus sine a. So Danny said, let's do cosine of 60 minus 45. You can do 60 minus 45. You can do 45 minus 30. Either one will get you the same exact answer. So basically what we're going to do is we're going to take and sub 60 in for A, 45 in for B. So let's do it. So this is cosine 60 degrees, and put your degrees in. And then cosine 45 degrees. Plus sine 60 degrees, sine 45 degrees. So what Danny said, we're going to take 60 minus 45. That's going to give us the cosine of 15 degrees. If we try it on our calculator, we can get an exact answer, so we have to resort to our special right triangles. Now you just take your handy dandy calculators and you do each calculation. So Ian, what's the cosine of 60?
5.
You got it. So this is going to be half. And
cosine of 45, Carly. Yeah, I don't know if that is. We need exact values. What is that?
Radical 2 divided by 2.
Radical 2 over 2. Remember, we're working with exact values. You have to recognize those decimals. Plus. So, Haley, sine 60. Good. And Vanessa, what do you have for sine 45? Awesome. Super. Okay, so we just have to do the arithmetic. Are we going to add or are we going to multiply? You got it. So, Diego, 1 times radical 2.
Radical 2.
And 2 times 2. Thank you. Danny, radical 3 times radical 2. And 2 times 2. Lovely. Okay, we have the same common denominator. What are we going to do?
Over 1.
Put it all over 1. So radical 2 plus radical 6 all over 4. Can you add radical 2 and radical 6?
No.
No. Remember, they have to have the same radicand to add them up. Now, we know that the cosine of 15 degrees is 0.96592, yada, yada, yada. Let's check that fraction to make sure we get the right thing. So I think we have radical 2 plus radical 6 divided by 4. Get the same exact thing as cosine 15 degrees?
Yeah.
We did. But we have it as the exact value, and that's what you need. That's why we have to use the sum or the difference of functions. I always check. You know me. Question on that process? Okay, why don't you try this one? Why don't you try finding the sine of 105 degrees? All right, so the decimal we're going to use, we're going to go back to ours and write that formula right out. So we check on our calculator first. Were there any other choices besides 60 plus 45? I think that's, you were limited to that. Okay, so pulling that from our sheet. What's A going to be this time?
60 degrees.
Correct. And B?
45.
Yeah. Sine 60? We all know cosine 45 is radical 2 over 2. So if sine 60 is radical 3 over 2, what's cosine 60? Half. And this is radical 2 over 2. So your multiplication, what's radical 3 times radical 2?
Radical 6.
Over
4.
3. And what's 1 times radical 2?
Radical 2.
Over 4. And then lo and behold, just like what we had previously, they turned out to be the same decimal. This is radical 6 plus radical 2. And remember, addition is commutative. So even if you had radical 2 plus radical 6, you should keep it like this one, because you follow the formula. Let me do this. So we're going to look at half angles now. These are on your formula sheet. They're over here on this side. Like I just mentioned, I rarely have seen these on the Regents exam, but watch, this will be the first year. Okay, so what we want to do is we're going to find the exact value of sine 15. We already looked at this. We know it's going to be radical 2 plus radical 6 all over 4. But we're going to do it with half angles instead of the sum angles. So, okay, well, 15, if it's a half angle, if you double 15, you get what? 30. 30 is one of our special angles. So we're going to rewrite sine of 15 degrees as a sine of 30 degrees over 2, but 30 over 2 is just 15. So that's what we're going to start with. 30 over 2. Now, we want sine, so we go to our formula sheet. And there's only one sine at a half angle. There's only one cosine at a half angle. There's only one tan, so that makes it easy. The only thing is we have to look at plus and minus because it's going to be basic requirements. So we'll come back here. 30, we're looking at 15 degrees and 30 degrees are both in which one?
First.
The first one. So we're going to be able to reject that negative right away. So I set up the formula. 15 degrees is in quadrant 1, so we're going to use the positive version only. So I'm going to set this up. This is sine 1/2, and I'm using A is 30 because I'm using that special right angle. So because I've already indicated we're only using quadrant 1, I'm going to drop my negative, and it's 1 minus cosine 30 degrees all over 2, because half of 30 gives us 110. Now it's just a matter of working our arithmetic. Everything's under the radical. Take the calculators. And the cosine of 30 degrees is equal to
I got 3 over 2.
you got it, 3/5. And this is all divided by 2. Now we have to do our arithmetic. How do you want to solve this? There's a couple ways we can go. Do you want to get a common denominator in the numerator, put it all over 1, or do you want to eliminate the denominator? Your call. I'm going to suggest eliminating the denominator. So look at all the denominators. What's the LCD? 2. So I'm going to multiply this by 2, multiply this by 2, multiply this by 2. So I get square root of 2 minus these 2's are gone, radical 3, all over 4. So far, okay? Now, we're not done because this radical is over the full fraction. So we have to take the square root to the numerator and to the denominator. Lucky for us, what's the square root of 4? Sorry.
2.
But you can't do anything with that binomial. You can't cancel off that big radical and that radical 3 because this is a binomial right here. So now we know a couple things. We're looking for sine of 15. We know that, oh, that's our decimal. Now let's take a look at what our answer is. We have the square root. Read this to me if I'm correct. 2 plus radical 3. Is that correct?
Minus radical 3.
Minus radical 3. Okay. All divided by 2. We get the same exact thing? Beautiful. So I just want to point out, arithmetically, right here, this is a binomial. So you cannot take the big radical and this radical on the 3 and cross it out. You can't do that. This technically means 2 plus radical 3 together. So you leave it like that. So that is the answer. And then you just check to make sure that's equal to what you were looking for on your calculator. This is good arithmetic. So why don't you try this one? Use the half angle identities to find the exact value of cosine 150. Yeah, you can ignore that, it's above. Okay, so on the back slide, yeah, I think it's fine that. I went from negative to positive. When we checked it though, we used the negative.
Yeah.
Thanks. But what should we do to make sure that we're right? Yeah, I would put it on the calculator. So go ahead on your calculator, go ahead and find out what the cosine of 150 degrees is. Did you get negative, negative right after 3/2? Well, look at that. Now here's the beauty. We know the answer is negative square root of 3/2. This is a multiple choice question on the Regents exam. You recognize that decimal, boom, you can circle the correct answer right away. If this is a 2 or 4 pointer and it says use half angles, then you're going to have to go through the method, unfortunately. All right, let me give you some home. All right, so 17 through 20 and number 60 on page 818 to 819. So Vanessa's the only one gone Thursday, Friday, right? Clearly Dylan's not going to be back, and clearly Riley's not going to be here. The rest of you, do you have a preference whether your quiz is Thursday or Friday? Your call.